Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Researching into mind, the lost paradigm in modern medicine. In the ancient world cultures, when man's mind turned against him, it was thought to be caused by demons or supernatural powers. They resorted to brutal therapies such as drilling holes in the skull to release such evil thoughts, early as 5000 BC. 7000 years since then, many of us are still in the dark as to how the thoughts in mind truly operate. Ladies and gentlemen, I draw your attention to your own thinking. Unsolicited thoughts bring in stress, anger, fear, desires, anxiety, depression on one hand, and happiness and contentment on the other hand. This phenomenon is common to almost all of us, the patient and physicians alike. These mental pains and their associated thoughts are the disease determinant combination affecting the entire mankind. Incidence of many behavioral problems is running high. Some of them are increasing. In a recent research, it was revealed that regular alcohol use among working men was as high as 50% in an urban district. Abuse of other substances is also widely prevalent. I draw your attention to this bar chart. Traffic accidents are soaring. It is increasing year by year. And deliberate self-harm are reported too frequently. These are some of the behaviors directly connected to one's mind. I draw your attention to the circle in the picture, and that is the low and middle income countries in Southeast Asia. They are the highest in the world in suicide rates. It is known that doctors, nurses, PHMs suffer from burnout, mental stress, anger, uncontrolled desire, errors of commission and omission, to name a few. We all need solutions for these problems. Mind not only makes one sick, but it also cures. Refined mind is the forerunner of health and happiness as much as untrained raw mind being the forerunner of distress. I quote this from the Dhammapada. WHO's definition of health indicates that to achieve health, one has to achieve complete mental well-being. However, evidence signals that we are far behind in achieving reasonable levels of mental well-being, leaving aside complete mental well-being. Hence, is the need to be innovative in the approaches to researching into mind and mental functions. But then, what is mind? Where is it located in the body? The Oxford Dictionary defines mind as the element of person that enables them to be aware of the world and their experiences, to think and feel, the faculty of consciousness and thought. There are several schools of thought regarding the mind's relationship with the body. Some scholars believe in monism, that the mind and the body are not two, but one, while others believe in dualism. However, literature suggests that nobody in the recent history had a deep enough understanding of how the mind truly operates and its parameters. Attempts of modern physical sciences to reveal mind and mental functions are confined and terminate at demonstrating brain activation by sensory stimuli and related motor responses. Demonstrating brain activation and synaptic and axonal transmission with imaging techniques have not captured the mind. Processing of information within the mind has not been explored sufficiently in the recent history. When the doctors lack the skill of reading the minds of people adequately, they tend to stereotype patients' behavior and address psychological issues to fit a group than an individual. In doing so, what we offer is not what suits the individual patient best, hence an incomplete job of managing patients. Skill of reading the patient's mind is likely to reveal the discords and concords of thinking between the patient and doctor. Such advanced mind-to-mind connectivity can solve patient management issues at difficult situations such as ethics dilemmas in management, end of life decisions and do not resuscitate decisions, apart from day to day patient management issues. Such deep seated skills need to be trained, and it requires a delicate research into the mind. Ladies and gentlemen, gist of my presentation is to understand the body's nexus with the mind, its architecture, the function, and to apply this knowledge and experience in health care of patient and physician. I will tell you how I started, what I did, what I found, and application of what I found in health and medical care. Way back in 1993, I was discussing the definition of health with medical students, that it is complete physical, mental and social well-being, not merely the absence of disease. One question posed by a medical student was, "Sir, how can one achieve complete mental well-being?" I frankly did not know the answer to that question at that point, but I promised to find it for them. It made me curious and interested in finding a rational and logical answer by researching into mind and its role in achieving complete mental well-being. And since then, it had been my main research interest. After 1.5 decades of research, I am going to share what I found with you today. On the premise that the thought is the common determinant of many psychosocial outcomes and that the possibility of complete mental well-being has been recognized at least on principle, I decided to review methodologies available for achieving complete mental well-being with the following objectives: to achieve freedom from relentless thoughts, to generate a skill of functioning free of ego, reflecting on own thinking process, applying the skills of mind in preventive, promotive, curative and rehabilitative care, achieving a totally stress-free state. I initially explored to find an answer to the concept of what mind is all about, the most fundamental question. According to modern scientific literature, the nature of the human mind and how it operates has not been fully understood as yet. Most of the published work on cognitive science is based on conceptualizing and demonstrating the neuroendocrine response and the area of brain activated by sensory or motor stimuli. Scholars in cognitive science assume that representation and computation analogous to a computer is the mode of operation of the mind. Modern physiological approach has achieved only limited understanding of the mind and mental functions. Renowned physiologists Guyton and Hall in their textbook of medical physiology says, I quote, "We do not know the neural mechanism of thought and we know little about the mechanism of memory." Close quotes. These assumptions and limitations indicate the inadequacies of the ordinary cognitive process in successfully exploring the mind. This is a book that we refer to in studying physiology in the first year and second year in the medical school. After the first few years of my exploration, I realized that there is no method in physical sciences that can investigate beyond the central nervous system to capture the mind. This is a serious limitation of the ordinary cognitive process. With this, the need arose to explore the approaches going beyond the cognitive process to explore the mind. The next challenge was to decide which method would take me beyond this cognitive process. Literature shows that spirituality attempts to connect with mind. It gave me a hint that my answer may lie in there. After going through what spiritual leaders, philosophers, thinkers have taught the mankind, I realized that I needed a method that was open for critical appraisal and with a scientific approach. I draw your attention to these three examples from three major religions. These show how they attempted to connect with the mind. 4 foundations in mindfulness leads to nirvana. This is from Mahasatipatthana Sutra, a script in Buddhism. A person who has a stable mind is called Sati Prajna. He alone is qualified for liberation. This comes from Bhagavad Gita, a script from Hinduism. For to set mind on flesh is death, but to set mind on spirit is life and peace, and this comes from Christianity. In this exercise, I stumbled upon contemplative neurosciences, a new arm in neurosciences, an emerging multidisciplinary field including the study of neural mechanisms of mindfulness meditation. In contemplative neurosciences, there are many methods that have been used to study and train mind. One popular method is focusing attention on an object or an event. Among those are insight meditation, breath meditation where the attention is focused on the breath, and methods such as walking meditation, relaxation response, transcendental meditation and focusing on a source of light, a color or a mental object. Those said techniques give one-pointedness of mind and which has a healing power in conditions such as OCD, attention deficit disorder and so on. Medical evidence recommend these techniques for a relaxation response, also described several millennia ago by prophets in Asia and in the recent past by Herbert Benson, a physician in USA. Another method with a strong historical background is insight meditation. In insight meditation, the practitioner gets first-hand understanding on the interplay of the body, mind and the store of memories and how they interact to create unique individuals in each person. This method has been expounded by the Buddha in 6th century BC and was known to free the mind of all attachments, the final result of which is nirvana. Nirvana is known to be achieved at any age beyond 7 years of age and sustained for the rest of the life. My first task was to select the most suitable method and to determine how it can be used in resolving biopsychosocial issues of humans. In this regard, an exhaustive review of literature suggested that the method bringing about relaxation response alone is not enough to achieve the objectives I embarked upon, as these methods were known to give temporary well-being and the final achievement only after death. Finally, I selected insight meditation, which has a well-documented method of training and known to give the final outcome within a discernible duration of time. I started practicing this method in 2006 and continued over a period of 10 years, describing it as a new field of anthropological research. An attempt was made to describe the method and its application possibilities in scientific terms, avoiding its mystic outlook through a multitude of dissemination modes, such as books, workshops, seminars, electives, and journals and scientific conferences. Insight meditation includes 3 components: physical discipline, mindfulness, and experiential learning. Physical discipline includes sitting motionless for a period of 1 hour that needed substantial psychosomatic endurance. Training includes a minimum of 2 hours of meditation every day. Mindfulness has 4 components. The first component starts with the mind scanning the body using a number of selected body parts that made the path of scanning. This is referred to as contemplation on the body or Kayanupassana in the literature. Mind also observes distractions from 3 sources, keeping it free from engaging. The 3 sources of distractions are the external world, captured through the 5 sensory organs: eye, ear, nose, tongue and the body, the physical body itself and the stored memories. The second component of mindfulness is contemplation on pain. Pain in various parts of the body is a strong distraction. During this phase, the mind is trained to let go pain and continue to engage in the body scan. It thereby blocks the opportunity for the pain to occur. This is referred to as contemplation on pain or Vedananupasana in literature. This shows a similarity to the gate control theory of pain at the posterior horn of the spinal cord, put forward by Ronald Melsack and Patrick Wall in 1965. If I draw your attention to this picture, the purple line that is coming from the hand is one, and the red line, red nerve that is coming from the hand is carrying pain. These two lines meet in the posterior horn, only one line is allowed. The counter irritation that is coming from the hand, the purple line, when it passes through, the pain line is blocked. When the pain line is allowed, the counter irritation path is blocked. So, when we do counter irritation to relieve pain, pain is blocked at the posterior horn. However, the gate effect in insight meditation occurs at the level of mind, not in the spinal cord or brain. I name it as cognitive gate control. The third component of mindfulness is on the behavior of individual thoughts, seeing how they originate from the 5 sensory organs and memory, last for a while and disappear. Frequency and repetition of certain thoughts and the continuity of the thought process. This is termed as contemplation on the thoughts or Chittanupasana in literature. The fourth component is seeing the mind's desires waning. During this phase, called contemplation on detachment or Dhammanupasana in literature, the practitioner sees the mind freeing itself from previously uncontrolled desires. Ladies and gentlemen, insight meditation lets the mind go through 4 levels of deepening mental quietude with lessening internal noise and extreme mental comfort. This process creates a medium of qualitative observation which is direct and free of language. It is a learning and transformation process for the mind. This practice also gives a relaxation response and unlearning of personal biases and prejudices, leading to a path of fading ego while experiencing the details of thinking process and experiencing detachment. When the mind gets settled with dwindling thoughts, one sees the details of each thought. Details include that the individual has no control over the occurrence of thoughts, and the reason for occurrence of such thoughts is the inherent glue-like nature of the mind. This experiential learning includes much more details with continuing practice. If benefits are to be gained, it is essential that training the mind using insight meditation be a part of one's lifestyle. It should be regular and with a duration sufficient enough to have a transformation in the mind. Let me now move to the next part of my presentation, sharing my experience in 3 areas. 1. Reflecting on the own thinking process, describing the fundamentals of mind. 2. The health gains to the practitioner, and 3. To the usefulness in healthcare. I should start by giving you an answer to the fundamental question of what mind is all about. Mind does not have a specific location and can be anywhere within the physical body. The popular belief that the mind travels outside the body is not true. Mind occurs when it connects with an object, a process that occurs serially with only one thought at a time. These objects are from three sources. Objects external to the body is captured by one or more of the five sensory organs, such as an image of a flower on the retina of the eye. I draw your attention to this simple animation. The nervous system captures the image and then by the mind. The mind's perimeter is maximally the retina of the eye in this instance, not the flower out in the environment. Sounds, smell, taste and touch are captured in the same way, demarcating the mind's perimeter. The second source of information is internal and is the physical body itself. Information there is in relation to pain, hunger, thirst and other body sensations. The third source is the stored memory. It has an unimaginable collection of competing thoughts with a differential momentum. These thoughts pop up and occupy the mind. These memories in the store are laden with varying degree of urgency, intensity and magnitude and compete with each other to pop up as thoughts. This is the mechanism of ordinary cognitive process, which is more fundamental and generic than the cognitive process that 19th century Swiss psychotherapist Carl Jung described. Hence, the location of mind is at any point within the physical body. The analogy is a single bird in a wrapped cage. It can be on the bottom, on a side or under the roof of the cage, and cannot exist in two places at one time point and cannot be seen by others as the cage is wrapped. Answer to the question how the mind interacts with the body and the memory is complex. Mind is a process. In other words, it works like a computer, but with one difference that can never be bridged. I draw your attention to these two pictures. Picture on your right side is the human mechanism. There are 5 input devices: eye, ear, nose, tongue and the physical body. This information is processed by the mind and stored in the memory, and when required, memory is retrieved by the mind. The other picture indicates a computer. It also has input devices: keyboard, mouse, webcam, so on, and central processing unit that processes information, and a storage device in the hard disk. The computer receives information from the input devices such as keyboard, mouse, scanner, camera, etc., and processes the information with the central processing unit until storing it in the hard disk. The information is retrieved from the hard disk whenever the need arises. Similarly, the mind captures images from the eye, ear, nose, tongue and the body, the input devices. The captured image is further processed by the mind. Some thoughts are strongly valued by the mind, and with this added value they get automatically stored in the memory. Once stored, these memories pop up as thoughts again immediately after or sometimes later. Individual has no control over this value addition, storage and pop-up process, which brings in all mental stresses. The day that the mind fully learns to let go these pop-up thoughts and is able to sustain this skill, that person will be absolutely free from mental stress. During the practice of insight meditation, the researcher removes the glue-like nature of the mind that attaches it to objects, thereby reducing thought process. It removes ego and all prejudices going beyond the ordinary cognitive process. Suppose, for example, a person is confronted with an extremely disturbing and provocative conversation. His mind will not capture that conversation and will have no stress. A person with less training, the disturbing thought will be stored in the memory. However, he will not recapture it when it pops up as a thought subsequently. An untrained person will capture, recapture and remain angry. Such a person who breaks the cognitive barrier can also switch to the ordinary cognitive organ based perception, giving him the dual perception capability. He would not look different to others. He would look like an ordinary person, how much unruffled he is in mind. During meditation, he switches to metacognitive realm and remain free from all stresses. Perception through sensory organs with very low internal noise creates a therapeutic effect on mental stress. This has extensive advantages such as maintaining focus on a job at hand, a better multitasking capability, contentment, happiness, emotional stability, essential for doctors, nurses, other health professionals, managers and leaders. These are prerequisites for a good quality health worker: experiencing noise free states, permitting self recharge of mental energy and clarity. Acquiring of these skills are unique to this method of training and is in addition to the usual relaxation response brought about also by other methods. Being able to separate mind from the physical body and the memory, splitting oneself into three constituents. The skills of separating the mind from the body at will is epistemological and scientifically far deeper than the theory of dualism of the 17th century French philosopher René Descartes. Dual perception capability leads to an academically important discovery that mental well-being spreads across two major epistemological paradigms that make up complete spectrum of knowledge required to understand mind, body and memory. One paradigm is the knowledge acquired through physical sciences that can demonstrate sensory pathways and brain activation through imaging and electrophysiological techniques. The other half of the spectrum is beyond the normal cognitive process, hence I would call it metacognitive. This other paradigm needs phenomenological approach as mentioned earlier. I name these two together as epistemological spectrum as it spreads across the entire range of knowledge that a living being can reach. Okay. If you can forget epistemological spectrum for a while, I will tell you my second spectrum. All human beings can be placed in a spectrum in relation to how their minds perform. I name this as mental health spectrum. This is practical and useful than more academic epistemological spectrum. As described earlier, the mind receives thoughts from three sources, one of which is stored memory. In one end of the spectrum is the patients with major psychiatric illnesses, who accepts paranoid thoughts originating from the stored memories as true. They behave on this premise, unable to verify it with the other two sources and show insane behavior. They have lost their insight. Next level, the second level, is minor psychiatric illnesses such as anxieties, fears, etc. However, they know that the fearful thought is not realistic, though unable to let go of it. Their insight is preserved. The third group is normal people who can verify a thought with other sources and let go of it and get on with other thoughts for regular normal behavior. Fourth group is those who train mind to let go of thoughts to free the mind from its attachments to thoughts. Depending on the method, they enjoy relaxation response and advantages of insight. At the rightmost end are those who achieve complete mental well-being. Ladies and gentlemen, you do not have to believe in what I say about the mind, because one cannot agree or disagree with what I say without going through the experience personally. If you decide to explore what mind is after listening to me, I have achieved my objective. All what I say here is subject to verification by you after trying out the technique of researching into mind. There are, however, strengths and limitations of this. The insight meditation method used is capable of analyzing one's own cognitive process, and the skills achieved in cognitive, affective and psychomotor domains are demonstrable. Strength in the method lies in that sharing evidence is direct and experiential and no communication gap, as there is no language involved. The biggest limitation is the difficulty in communicating the experience to others who have no experience in the method. Because of the difficulty in translating this phenomenological experience to a language, there is a serious obstacle in publishing this kind of work in conventional print or electronic media. To review the methodology, it is essential to have a scholar with metaphysical experience or trained in insight meditation. Without getting into the same plane of cognition, reviewing methodology is incomplete and flawed. Showing evidence for self-transformation in a method which is invisible, entirely experiential and has no language is a new challenge that the scientific community has not encountered much. However, the good point is that as a method is transferable, one can experience the evidence as in a participatory qualitative research. This communication happens in an extrasensory realm. Entering into this and accessing that mammoth database is anyone's choice and endurance. The method is available and teachable to any interested person. What are the applications of these achievements to the patient and community? Skills achieved through this exercise has a multitude of application possibilities in managing NCDs, in personal and professional development, and to achieve better states of mental well-being. In a semi-experimental study conducted in the rheumatology clinic of the National Hospital, it was revealed that the patients with rheumatoid and other arthritis were benefited by a course of insight meditation. Those who practiced regularly showed that the number of joints involved and the pain was significantly lesser compared to the control group. Further studies will be needed to establish the causal relationship in different settings. Insight meditation program is also shown to improve performance and happiness among health personnel. If I draw your attention to these pictures, top left corner the picture, the middle picture on the top is a training program for matrons. Top right is the training program for nurses. Bottom left is in a MOH office. Center bottom is a training program in the Family Health Bureau, and on the right side bottom is a training of trainers in the Department of Community Medicine, Faculty of Medicine. Improvement of satisfaction, happiness and reduced stress levels was seen among a group of university students against non-meditators. Develop insight related skills provide an additional tool of diagnosis. Metacognitive psychoanalysis. Metacognitive psychoanalysis can be developed into a discipline that is highly specialized and very useful. It is a psychoanalytical skill of the interplay of body, mind and memory of a patient. This skill can provide a more customized care to the patient, reaching a deeper level of how the patient's body, mind and memory behave. It can be used to refine and further improve empathy, a skill used in psychiatry and psychology for managing patients. This can also be useful as a method of promoting mental well-being among patients in wards following acute management. Such supportive care oriented towards positive mental well-being is very scarce in the hospitals in Sri Lanka at present, except for patients with diagnosed mental health problems. So, the patient management plan should start addressing the mind simultaneously with physical illness or even before addressing the physical illness. To catalyze this, I suggest to include a dedicated space in the BHTs to enter the status of mental well-being of all patients getting admitted. Physician not addressing the mind of a patient means the compassionate and caring healer, the artist in physician, has been lost. To enhance the compassion, I suggest to initiate a training program for all health personnel in promoting mental well-being and metacognitive skills. Technical support can be provided for training. Occupational and community groups can be trained for enhancing personal and professional skills. Insight meditation based mental well-being promotion programs have been offered, and feasibility of such methods and positive outcomes have been documented across age groups, occupational strata, social groups and different religions. If I draw your attention to these pictures, the picture on top is a training program for trainee police officers. On the right side is a training program for school children. Bottom left is a training program in the Regional Director of Health Services Office in Jaffna, and in the middle bottom is a Regional Director of Health Services Office, Kegol. Creating a new concept of mind-to-mind journal is a felt need. Those who are seriously considering this field of study can be trained themselves to experience the evidence using the transferable methods without externally and superficially reviewing the methodology or the results. It is worth sharing it, as there is absolutely no other way to explore such deep into mental well-being, which is indispensable for proper and customized patient care, including one's own health care. Dual perception capability in medical curricula. Even in an extreme subspecialty, doctor treats patient as a whole. Hence, the doctor should develop himself to be able to offer a holistic care. Training opportunities should be provided for medical students and doctors to address the minds of all patients. It is prudent to include a module on insight, mindfulness and dual perception capability for the undergraduate and postgraduate curricula. This module can be placed under medical humanities, behavioral sciences or similar stream in undergraduate curricula. Technical support for training can be provided. Other option is electives in insight meditation and related skills, which is already available through the Department of Community Medicine, Faculty of Medicine, Colombo. An initiative has been made to train people on insight for promotion of mental well-being. Those who practice with commitment can be trained as trainers. Those second level trainers can start training their own local areas after gaining sufficient experience. Such new training groups can work as secondary ripple centers. When trainers emerge from these multiple centers, they can start training in other localities, creating ripples in many areas. These multiple ripples will merge to create a happier and healthier nation across religions and ethnic borders. My dear ladies and gentlemen, I am honored by your presence here, and it was pleasure talking to you all. Over 45 minutes, I attempted to tell you a different and deeper aspect of the art and science of medicine. I know I did not make myself clear enough. However, we can discuss further when time permits in the future. Until then, I thank you for your patient listening. I thank my meditation teacher Arahat Lanka Sariputta Thera for his guidance, meditation training centers in Western Australia and my colleagues in many faiths, my family and my parents for support in taking care of all affairs when I devote time for mind research, everybody in the Department of Community Medicine of the University of Colombo for providing support for my work. Many friends and colleagues helped me in this endeavor. I sincerely thank them all. I thank the college for giving me this opportunity to share my work with you all. I thank you for your patient listening. Thank you.